Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Woo, 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 woo! Okay, first of all, maybe it's good to have a bit of introduction from you, Mark.
Yep, sure. Well, I'm Beardy. Mark's my name of Beardy. I run Wildthings Records.
Maybe a bit closer. Listening.
I run Wildthings Records from London. It's an underground record label. It's our 20th year
Woo,
next
woo.
year, so we've been around. Evolved from the London free party squat scene. And that's kind of what's created our sound and how it's evolved. And yeah, I mean, it's been a really fantastic journey. We've got 10 artists on the label at the moment. We've had a few that have come and gone. People who have retired and then they come back a bit later. We always say we're in it for the long haul. So people have time out, they come back. It's good. And yeah, it's really good fun. Running a record label is good fun. It's all about getting friends together to create parties and enjoy life.
Yeah, it must have been also a lot of like ups and downs with the friend group, and it's. I can imagine it's difficult to maintain also this like always a production cycle when you're with your friends as well. What's your experience with that?
We're very relaxed about it. It's a hobby as much as and a passion more than like a job. So because of that, it never gets too stressful. We're never kind of trying to chase something. The end result is getting music out, seeing it played on the dance floor, and that's the most. That's just the best thing that we can imagine. Really, just seeing people loving it and dancing it, dancing to the tune. So it really is quite a special thing. But yeah, I mean, as you say, we over 20 years we have had lots of people or friends who have started with us, and their styles of music have changed, and then they've gone and worked with some other labels like Avalon. He started with us. He went off to Nano. His style of music changed a bit. We had Archaic was another great artist who then his style of music again veered a little bit away from what we were doing. So yeah, I mean, we have lots of people that come through and try and like promote and encourage people to improve their production and sounds, and be happy in the environment they are.
It sounds to me like you have a clear vision for the project. I mean, as you talk, I see like maybe it's different artists and you're all friends or not friends, but it's kind of like a one project. That's what the label is in a way.
Yeah.
And do you feel like?
Yeah, but I mean, we've kind of created a sound, which, as I say, is emulated from London, really, and. What we don't want to do is to have too bigger amount of artists involved in the label, because then it starts to get much more complicated, much more harder to maintain and to please everyone. So we kind of keep it streamlined. The artists we have generally are with us, forever, really. But it's. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I can. So, as I said, the project is kind of clear, but then maybe you can talk a bit about the scene. How it has changed around it? Like 20 years ago, maybe there wasn't like the festival like this modern, where you also see people who have like regular everyday lives just come and like spend a week in the forest. Maybe it was a more underground thing, especially in London, I can imagine. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we first started doing, I mean, when I first started doing parties, we did. It was called the Smiling Fish Psychedelic Discotheque, and we had a small sound system, and we would just go and rig it up in some fields or disused buildings, and just with a few hundred friends, and just get have fun, and then the first label that came from that was the Bearded Acid Warriors of Peace.
Whoa, wait, can you say it one more time?
The Bearded Acid Warriors of Peace. Okay. Yeah, that was that was the first label that I was involved with, and again, that was from the London underground scene, and we did some parties called the Acid Bath. That was another one. That was kind of where we were mixing techno and psychedelic trance. Yeah, and then the squat party scene started to evolve a lot more in London. We had had the techno scene that were doing massive warehouse parties, and you had the psychedelic scene, the trance scene that were doing also massive parties, but we never used to bring them together. They always were separate. You know, we'd never mix the genres, and the people were different, the vibes were different. But every week there would be parties in office buildings, or let's say warehouses, or just car parks. Anywhere you'd have friends and allies who would find a door open and move in for a while. But we would always look after the buildings. They were always looked after. You know, you'd do a big party there, and everyone would clear up, and it was a very positive, free party spirit. And that's what London was like. This was, end of the 90s into the 2000s. And the laws allowed it as well. You know, from the squatting scene, you could, as I say, if you found an empty building, you could move in. You could live there, because being homeless wasn't, if you were homeless and you found somewhere, you can go and live. So this is what a lot of these friends were doing. They were traveller friends, and that's what they called their homes. And then obviously we'd do the parties, they make a bit of cash, and we'd have a great time. And this went on every weekend. We did this. Lots of scene party people and projects all evolved from this amazing period in London of just complete lawlessness fun. And that's the Wildthings, the sound that we've manifested over these years has kind of stemmed from those beginnings, really, where it was just fresh and new and fun. So yeah, wonderful. Really happy.
And do you see some repercussions of this still existing in London?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because obviously what happened was that it started to get abused a little bit, the scene, by new people coming in, the rules changing a little bit about how to do a free party, people not understanding the kind of the balance between trying to make money or greed, and what started to charge more money, get people who aren't into the scene to come, changing the whole structure a little bit of it. And then lots of violence started to come. You got people trying to break in, started to combine the two scenes a bit, with the people trying to find the venues and buildings. Quite a lot of the buildings started to get abused, and that's when the governments and the council started to stop people from being able to squat industrial buildings. So that's when things started to change quite considerably in London, so now it's much harder to do these. It's completely different now in London to how it was back then, which is a shame, because it was good.
But still, you had a wonderful time, I can imagine, and this is where the label came from. In the end, from this pure joy of listening to music and creating something together.
Absolutely, yeah. This kind of this free spirit thing, and obviously there was no cameras there. There was no Facebook, TikTok, and everything. It was all done by text message.
There's probably no toilets also.
No, you create toilets there.
Coming now to Modem, do you also feel like this kind of a spirit is still alive in the music, at least, or if nothing else?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's growing bigger and bigger, the scene. It was really quite small back then. And I think a lot of international people came through London, got tuned in and turned on, and then went off and started their own parties and their own projects. And I mean, we used to come to from the international people we met and the sounds that we created and played to people in London was the start of how we would start to get gigs and evolve, and the artists would get to go around more and spread the sound and meet people. As my friend over there, we would just in Pula. He was the first man to get our Wild Things over to Pula for Future Nature. So we did all. Yeah, I mean it's just great. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're very, very lucky to be here in Croatia. We went a lot of times to Pula. That was our real starting point for Croatia. And I think Hoodwink, one of our artists, Kelton, Tommy got him to come and play, I think, one of his first parties many years ago. Tommy liked Hoodwink's music. And I think that was in a small field somewhere. So, yeah, but something Modem has turned into the most amazing thing, isn't it? Festival.
I mean, or all starts from a small field, probably somewhere, or a building.
Yeah, absolutely. Or building.
I just wanted to stir away a bit, like fast backward again.
Yeah.
Maybe tell about the music influences you had, because it was not the beginning of the trance or techno scene, but it was really like still not the same thing that it is today. And what were maybe your early influences? Maybe it wasn't even techno or electronic music at all, but like where did the music come from that you are reflecting your taste upon now? That is not techno or trance.
Well, I mean, it was. I mean, as far as me getting into, the music scene, the psychedelic scene, obviously, heighten that psychedelic side of it because that's what that's our thing. I went to Goa when I was 19. Spent years there, not years, sorry, months there. Felt like years. So that was where I started to come across my first trance parties. That was in the early 90s. Met some wild people, and then there's a point when you're in some of these parties that you just hit a level of kind of feeling, and you just think, I want to do this now for the rest of my life. That was one of those moments, and so that was then. And then there was also this very famous club called the Whirligig in London, and that was a kind of a world music and dance club. And it started at 8 in the evening and it finished at midnight. So, but in those 4 hours, many crazy things happened. But yeah, so that was where the influence of dance music came from. Before that, I mean, I was personally into Hendrix, Zeppelin, all the old 70s psychedelic rock and stuff. That's my kind of background of music. I mean, the artists of the label all have big, interesting backgrounds of sounds that they're into, be like metal, rock. So it's great. And we're all old at the moment, so we've got quite a bit of music history behind us.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be old to have music history. That's just
No,
a plus of getting old. That's just a plus.
You've got to start. Your history starts at some point, yeah.
But do you feel like the label that you've created now and the name that you've created for yourself, you want to keep going with it with the same vision, or do you feel like you want to change it a bit in the future? Like, what is your outlook?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we just get on with it. Basically, we're very relaxed. As I say, the music that the artists are making now is better than it ever has been. Obviously, the equipment is better. People can afford more things. Before, you'd have to have lots of money to buy synthesizers and drum machines and all these things. Now everything can be soft synths now, and you can get them for free, and it's all the plugins and things like that. So the ability to make good quality sound is easier to do now. But no, as far as Wild Things is going and how it's evolving, I think it's just going exactly how it's meant to be going. And yeah, we're in it, as I say, in it for the long haul. No rush. Things take time. I mean, has everyone heard of Wild Things here at all? Okay, we're going to have to listen to someone. Phil and I are playing on Sunday morning, so you can come and listen to that. That's at 9:30 in the morning. I'm playing and Phil's on at 11. And we had ZZ Bing and Headworks playing on Thursday. So yeah, it's.
Does anyone have extra questions? Maybe.
Oh yeah, we came up with this idea actually. If anyone's got a good question,
just jump in.
You get a CD.
Oh wow! Okay,
So,
guys, go. You see? You see? Wow, you are such a smart man.
Hello, thank you.
um,
First, I saw that you talking about it's a long time work to create a music, a label, and can get a living from music and the scene. And you are living in London. It's an expensive place, and how could you manage to live this dream with the hard hustle to pay the bills and
yeah, that's a
survive?
good question. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't. I worked out a long time ago that there's no money in it. This is why, and again, it's about a label. I think one of the real fundamental points when you're starting a label or doing one is that you're not going to make any money from it. And the best way for longevity is to try and get everything as in-house as possible and be very honest with the artists when they're making their music that there is very little money to be made from selling the music. Especially now we've got streaming, with Spotify and things. I mean, that's taken all the money out of the scene, really. Though there are good independent record companies like Bandcamp, where people buy the music from Bandcamp, that goes straight to the artist, so that's good, or the label. But I mean, I've seen many labels come and go where they've got a real idea, a dream of doing it, and they pay a lot of money in their first release to get the artist they want,
Yes.
and then they don't make any money, and then they're £5,000 down, and that's the end of that dream. So you have to be quite realistic about how to make it work for you. Personally, I'm a tree surgeon, so I climb trees to do that, and a DJ as well. But I also find that when you're chasing the money, it then starts to become like work. So keeping the separation between work and the music is keeps it more fun, I think, for me. Yeah, for sure. But no, that's a really good question. Just being honest and being understanding that, especially this kind of scene, it's really about just getting it out there. And if you've got a core crew of artists like we have with this understanding, then it works. It just seems to be working. And other friends of mine have similar ideas about this. With their labels, it's not a money making get rich quick scheme. No. Rich in spirit. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good question. CD. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, man. Thanks, brother.
So, under a label, I know that all the artists are like children, but do you have someone that you would that you love the most? Or what I want to know is, do you have a funny story behind an artist that you got under your label because of some special reason?
Well, I mean, that's quite a funny question. I think. Well, I do the label with my friend Alex, EVP. So I think the funniest thing was when we first met, and there was this kind of instant connection of just complete hysteria, because he makes visuals, and he was creating these crazy big monsters, projecting it, and we just had such this cosmic kind of connection that it was like, yeah, let's do this. And it was just instantly you knew this guy's going to be, a great friend, and Wild Things has stemmed from this friendship really, and this wild guy, the EVP. Yeah, I mean it's so yeah, I think that's right. But everyone on the label are hilarious. Lots of stories that probably shouldn't be told.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. CD. Brilliant. This is one of his, actually. This is a reality grid CD. So. No problem. Thank you very much. Cool. So is there anyone here who would like to start a label or not? You.
Hi.
Hi,
Sorry, my voice is from
no
the
problem.
screaming on the dance floor.
Cool.
Well, a friend of mine and me, we are starting a label. Like, we're launching it very soon.
Brilliant.
But, like, we are not really interested in, like, creating festivals or parties and stuff. Like, more like really just releasing music.
Yeah.
And also, for the start, don't really want to like take big artists, like pay any money or, so we really just want to like release our stuff and creating like a label. So we're keep on working and supporting each other and we have like something we can work for.
Perfect.
But like in the same time, I'm a little bit afraid, like how can it be, like can it still reach other people, when we don't do like events or anything, like, well, I know lots of people because I'm like always a little bit around and stuff, but I'm not sure because like I feel like with like releasing music, there's so much vulnerability and also like, like you put yourself out there, so it's like
I know, it's scary.
Yeah, it's so scary.
Especially when you're playing your own music, that's really
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done. So everything I'm saying is resonating to you, isn't it? About not wanting to spend too much money because you're going to run out really quickly. And I think you want to try and keep it as in-house as possible. Mm-hmm. So you have your friends who are making the music, you release their music. You have your friends who's doing some artwork, you can do the artwork. Before it was, before you'd have to print up CDs and do all this distribution style thing. All that's changed now because it's all digital. The majority of it's digital. I would recommend just collecting, printing off some USB sticks with your logo on it, or make some CDs, 100 CDs, and when you go around, you give them to some DJs or some promoters and get them to play the sound. I think also it's a really good idea to get your music mastered for the artists, to spend a little bit of money on making it sound as good quality as possible, getting some feedback, from the engineers, and not to rush it out, to wait and get a sound going that you like and the quality to a standard that you're really happy with, and then go for it. So what's your label going to be called?
Outcyber.
Outcyber?
Outcyber music, yeah.
Wicked.
Because it's like really, it feels like it's cyber, but it's like not cyber, and it's like, as we are all kind of outsiders.
Yeah.
So we're, like
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
But I think also like Facebook, and we're not brilliant at promotional stuff. As I say, we've been around quite a long time, which does help us. But I think there are definitely ways you can utilize social media to try and get your name out, especially, and to have a few releases coming. So there's things just ticking over, so there's constantly popping up. When one's out, maybe a few months later, get another one out, get another release out. Are you thinking about doing it on Bandcamp?
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, because like when I was DJing, I was always just like on Bandcamp because I feel like that's the best way to support the artists.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah,
So
But be honest with them, the artists.
Yeah.
When they give you a minute to say, to be fair, it's better if the money that comes in, because there's only little bits, comes into the label, which you can then invest in, because you're going to need a website, you're going to need to pay for things, you're going to need to pay for the artwork. Even though it is in-house, you're still going to need to, there's going to be money that you're going to need to spend. So I think from the word go, create this understanding that, for this to work, we all have to be together, and to what comes in stays in, and then you can distribute it through the label rather than, 100 quid to an artist for a track or something like that. That 100 quid could go to making, as I say, the next CD or the next. Yeah, so I think that's definitely really important. Good luck with that.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
CD. Woo. That was a good question. Thank you. Cool. Still got loads left.
Thanks for the tips. I think it was really one of the most hands-on that we've heard in this, like how to run a label conversations, let's say.
Lovely.
Yeah, I think it was very handy. But I would just want to jump back to the question, like, what do you do for promotion today when it's quite a bit different than?
A lot of it is word of mouth, and as I say, when you are It's about getting the music to the right people for the DJs to be able to play it, and for the promoters to hear what's being played and the response. Again, you've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of these things are good, but I still think good old-fashioned flyers, stickers, little bit of promo, as much as you can, but these are like a business card, CDs. So we always said them like a USB stick as well. I was saying with a logo with an album on it or some tracks. That's your business card. So you go to people and you go, this is that, this, that. I think that's the best way of doing it. You can get lost in all of the social media stuff. It's like, and it's a bit deceiving, the social media. You think it's going out to lots of people, but it's not going out to lots of people at all. You have to pay for that to happen. Before, we used to have magazines. There was like Mushroom Magazine and Trancing Magazine. There was all these ones which we did advertise in at the beginning, and that cost a lot of money. So 500 quid or something, so £500 to get an advert, a small little advert in a magazine, and that just ate all your money up. And did it really work? I don't know, really. Yeah.
You always make the scene by being in the scene, and then people know your music, probably.
Yeah, sure.
What would be maybe your advice, like in general, to people that are experiencing your, not advice, but like your last comment about how when people are experiencing music, what do you want them to experience in a way?
Okay.
What is your goal?
What is our goal? To have lots of fun, to enjoy it, to groove, to dance, to swing your bits, to really just have a good time. Our music is quite groove-based. You've got lots of different styles of music, obviously. But with Wild Things, our tempo, we kind of like 148 to 150 BPM. But it's kind of groove-based. It's all about getting it dancing, getting the girls on the dance floor, get the girls on the dance floor, the guys get on the dance floor and have a full dance floor. It's all about and being fun. Sometimes I find the music gets a little bit too serious. It's getting a bit too serious. Before, it was all, aliens abducting you and all this kind of cool stuff. So I just think just injecting a bit more fun and happiness into it all. So that's what we want from our music, just to create good fun, happy times on the dance floor. So hopefully we do that, and to make you kind of trip out, have a good time. Cool. Oh, question at the back.
Hey.
Hey.
My question would be, after you started your partying scene, after you met your friends, was resonating with you, was there a breakthrough when you thought, you decided you should start a label?
Yes. Yeah. So.
And what was it?
Yeah. Okay. So Wild Things initially was a party. So we would do parties. So it was me, Alex, and our friend Spiny, and that was our Wild Things was a party organisation, small one, but that's what we did. And then Alex started to write good music, and then there was a few other friends around who were writing some good music, and for me it was like, oh look, let's just get it out. You were applying. I know Alex was trying to get someone on some label, and they weren't getting back, or this or that. And in the end, I was just like, well, I'll do it. We'll just do it. And then we had a good distributor, Arabesque, when we were doing the CDs, and so we could get it all around the world and everything, the music. But it was definitely, it's a lot of work to do it, to run a label. It's a lot of paperwork and just things, just a lot of things to get it going, to make it come alive, and dedication, and be driven to make it work. But yeah, no, there was definitely a point when it was like, what the music we're doing is great. Let's do it ourselves, and I think that was the real moment for me, and I enjoyed it. I wanted to do it. I was prepared to put the time in to make it work, and as I say about not getting too many people involved, too many artists, just sticking with a core few and helping them build and get better. If you see one artist and you think, oh, he's got some good potential there, help them, encourage them, and build it up. But I think as soon as you get, for me personally, too many involved, then it starts to get harder to release the music as well in time, and I think it just less is more for me personally with it. So yeah, as I say, it's not a full-time job. It's a hobby, really. It's a love thing, Any more for any more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
I know it's not the case for every label, but I noticed in some labels, a lot of artists have the same sound.
Yes.
Like they're not making the same music; they're different, but they can share some similar sounds.
Yes.
Is it because of the label, because it's the same mastering, the same guy doing the sound, or is it just because they like those sounds, so they just naturally meet in the label that already sound like us?
Okay. Yeah. I think it's more of. I mean, with our label, I don't think the sounds are the same. I think the sounds are quite different, but the style of it is the kind of the end product, the way it works on the dance floor, and the bassline grooves and that aspect of it is something which is quite relevant to our sound. I think a lot of maybe artists in general the music does sound the same quite a lot because of preset banks where people share presets, sounds that they've made and they've stored and they give them out, or they're all using one particular synthesizer comes out and then everyone uses that, and then that, so everyone's using the same sounds from that. So I think that's maybe why quite a lot of the music might sound the same. But I quite like it to be. I mean, now we've been listening to this music for almost 30 years, And first, I think maybe in my 20s when I bought it. So we really need to hear some fresh stuff. So when with our label, for me, I kind of find that it is every artist has its own particular sound, but the whole vibe of it of all of them together creates our sound. Does that make sense? A little bit? Yeah.
How did you connect with the other organizers all over the globe and get tours, gigs, and stuff like that?
Yeah. I remember. I think a lot of it comes from. We've been in it for quite a long time, and there are many organisations that are popping up all the time, but I think a lot of people pass through London, especially back in the days. And their organisations have been created from their experiences in London, and then some of those organisations are still doing big festivals and things. So there's a big connection through that, and just word of mouth and being friendly and nice and being good, at what you're doing. And I think that's the best way. Just networking, creating mail lists, maybe on Facebook. You've got. You create a group of promoters you like and put one of your DJ mixes up and send it to them every time you do a DJ mix or something, or just keep it going. But it's all friends of friends. Everyone talks to each other, It's a big scene, but everyone talks to each other. The DJs are saying to each other, "Oh, this is good. This artist is good," and then they're in different countries, and there are big. Promoters. I mean, there's some companies. We don't do this actually. You get people who are on artist management companies, who beyond
like agencies.
Yeah, they're agents. Yeah, and they take a cut and they get you bookings, and the artist just turns up and plays and then leaves, and they don't really have much communication with. It's no personal kind of input with the organisers and things. But that does work for people. They do get quite a bit of more gigs doing that. It's not a game changer, but I think personally for us it's much nicer to be having a more of a personal approach with the organisers when you're there, and and just talking to each other. Yeah. Wow, I really enjoyed that. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Woo. Thank you. Have you got this CD? It's an old one.